Here, sheep. Well, I've always got things rolling around up here in my head that due to time constraints don't always come to fruition, but I guess most of my thoughts kind of fall into three categories. There's things I need to do out of necessity. There's the things I need to do sort of in the name of efficiency. And then there's the things I'd like to do just out of curiosity. So the curiosity ones are the ones that kind of get pushed to the back because time is such a issue. So a lot of those things have to be done in really short intervals, maybe 5 minutes or 10 minutes of doing something. Then I let that ruminate in my head for a while and kind of see what the next step needs to be. One of the things, I'm sure if you've spent much time online at all, you see these advertisements for these solar generators. Now I've got solar fence chargers. I'm not sure if I did a video on hooking up a solar panel to a battery, to a 12-volt battery powered fence charger. I do have one of those fixed up, and I've got a regular factory made solar fence charger that works well. But solar kind of interests me. I'm kind of curious about it. I don't know how far I would ever take it, but I am going to start doing a little bit of experimenting with it. So like I said, this is something that'll have to be done in short bursts, but I'm going to, well, here's where I'm going to start. I have a battery. I've got a battery. I've already mounted a battery monitor to it to tell me how the battery is charged, how much charge it has, how much draw is coming out of the battery when I have it hooked up. The next step is a solar panel to charge it with. So that's what I'm going to do today. I've hooked up this battery to a load and I've ran it all the way down. It's at like 20% load on 20% power still left in the battery. So I'm going to hook a 100-watt solar panel to it and let it charge up and see how long it takes it to charge and just kind of how well this does. Now I've got my 100-watt solar panel. It's hooked to a charge controller. This is just a little 10 amp charge controller. And we'll see how this thing does. Well, this thing says the panel is putting out 14.6 volts, which would be good to charge this with. However, it's showing 0 amps, which tells me there's no current flowing. This battery monitor is showing that the battery has 11.8 volts, and it is at a 0 amp output, which actually should show an input if it was charging. Let me get my voltmeter and see what we've actually got at the battery. Well, if you can see that, my meter is saying 11.8 volts, which is exactly what this battery monitor says. I think that's probably too dim for you to read. But yet, the charge controller says 14.6 coming out of the solar panel. I do have this set for a lithium battery, which is what this is. Well, I guess this is just one of those data points that I'm going to have to think about. If we have a 2-volt difference, actually a 3-volt difference between the battery and the charger, why are we not charging? I would expect to see some amp flow there. This is just the start. We'll see where this goes. I may have to come back to this project later. Anybody that's dealt with any solar, battery charging, things like that, the fact that that's showing a higher voltage coming out of the solar panel than what the battery has, but yet I'm not showing any amperage draw, leave some comments down below. Any suggestions, things I might need to look at. This is just the start of this experiment, so we'll see where it goes. And sort of sticking with the theme of small projects, if you've watched many of my videos at all, you have noticed just how many gates I have, particularly right here around the barn. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 gates right here in this little area. I mean, this little lot is not very big, and I've got 8 gates around it, at the right at the back of the barn, going into the side of the barn, the little lot there. Now, my wife has made comments about having so many gates. I do use these gates. I use them all the time. And one of the things I really like are these latches. Now, you can buy some that will go on the side of the post so that you can swing the gate either direction. I kind of like for the gate to come up against a post. That way if something pushes against it, it's not just the latch trying to hold it, it's the whole post. These are pretty easy for me to do with one hand. Pull that out. You can open the gate, close the gate. I think all of my gates have latches like that on them. As long as you've got the gate where it will swing freely, when you're wanting to close it quick because something's getting through, you just swing it closed. Most of my gates are 12-foot gates. I don't have a lot of big equipment I need to move through them, and 12 feet is plenty wide enough to get a truck or tractor or something through there if I need to. So that works. The other thing I have done is there's actually spare gate hinges. There's a set of hinges on this post. These brackets here are for my, actually it's the lambing pin panels. I can hook those to that fence and make me a extra little alleyway here if I need to. And over here, I've got these shorter gates. There's a 4-foot one. Here's a 4-foot one. There's a 4-foot gate. If you notice, they're just hanging here. This gate in particular, I can open this 12-foot gate and hook it with that 4-foot gate, have that gate closed, and now I have another little pin in here for temporary use. Or it allows me to run something from this pin straight through out that way without them coming over here behind the barn. This little gate, if you'll notice, the hinge is upside down. Well, it's upside down for a reason. I'm working with sheep. I'm not working with cows or hogs that are liable to push the gate up off of the hinges very often. So I can pick that gate up and move it. I can put it on that spare set of hinges over there if I need to for some reason, and I've used that when loading things into a trailer. This gate's the same way. Now I've set all the hinges so that each gate can hang anywhere I need it to hang, and that works out pretty well. This gate does not come off. I've got this small gate to close this little walk-through area here. This gate, however, when I hang the 8-foot gate over here, gives me another little pin. I can have 3 sections right here behind the barn if I need to. Each one of them probably, 16 by 20 or something like that. So I can pretty quickly, just by moving some gates around, get little pins where I need them. Works out really well when you're trying to separate things. This particular hinge, since I hang an 8-foot gate on it, I drilled it and put a hairpin clip in it, and I can put the gate on here, put that pin in, and then they can't raise the gate up and get it off of the hinges. And actually that 8-foot gate, that's pretty much where it stays hanging. It does take some work to line it up and get it back on there by yourself. So now, like I said, I can put these 2 gates together and make a temporary pin. So you can see just by closing a few gates, I've got the pin that I'm standing in. I've got another one there. I've got one there, and I've still got the whole lot over here that I can put something in if I need to. I can, if I need, swing that far gate around to my chute and let things through there and cut that off. Yeah, pretty much every gate I have connects to another gate that helps to create a pin or an alleyway, things like that. Some of the gates are movable, so I can modify things pretty easy. And that's sort of what I do. That's sort of what I do in the name of efficiency. Now, the other thing I have done on several of my gates is just got a extra gate hinge, the clamp that goes on the gate, put it on the end opposite of the hinge, and I just put a rod that goes down through here so I can swing the gate out, and it pretty much stays where you want it to stay. I use that feature quite a bit on this gate. Just pick this up, and I've got this one worked out pretty good. The pin is kind of around beside the gate, and I can just hook that right there. Now I've got a free swinging gate. Knock that down, and the gate will stay open. I use it a lot on these gates because this is where I drive through a lot. Now this is actually a 16-foot opening here, and I actually like 2 shorter gates on that because they don't pull on the post so bad. The actual latch for this is no more than a chain that wraps around, hooks into part of actually what once was a hinge, and I opened this up, welded a piece of angle iron to it, chain hooks in there. I've not had anything figure out how to undo that. And with the 2 rods, because there's one on the other gate too, with the 2 rods in there, the gate pretty much stays where it needs to if they start rubbing on it. Now the barn doors, when I latch them, it's gonna get dark in here probably. They are latched with this latch right here. Goes into this in case it gets too dark over there. And that's got that door latched pretty good. If you can see, some of this is tore out. The reason that's tore out is because I had this latch up here and it was hooking in to the bracket up here. But since I didn't have a latch on the other end, I've got one over there, but it didn't hold well. The door was always swinging out. When you'd get a lot of wind, it would catch it and pull the door out. And over time, that broke this board, so I had to move this. Now, to solve that problem, I put in this. Now, this is just I think it's a 2-inch strap. Probably 3/16 metal, but 2-inch. I heated it up. I bent a hook on the end of it. I can get that to show. I put a piece of 1.5 inch angle on the bottom of the door, and that hook just hooks in that angle. Now, I've seen other things you can buy to do that same thing with some rollers or guides of different kinds. Some of you mount a roller outside, a roller inside. All those probably work well, but what I was after was something that there wouldn't be anything outside, so I didn't have to worry about hitting it, mowing around it, any of that sort of stuff. I didn't want anything on the inside that took up a lot of floor space. So that's what I came up with. I've actually got one on this front door and on the back door. And just for a in case, this angle iron does not go all the way to the end. So if I need to, I can simply go all the way and then unhook it out of there. Hook it back in, and now the door is latched in there and can't go anywhere. Those have worked out real well. I know this video sort of jumped around a little bit, but I just kind of wanted to show a few of the small things that I've done that can make life a little bit easier. At least it does for me. None of these things are really complicated things. They're not earth-shattering type things, but I found that sometimes the little things can help a lot, especially over some time. Now, I do have an update coming on the solar project. Be coming out pretty soon, so be watching for that. And if you have some ideas and some things you think that I could use, things that you've done that have helped you out, leave a comment below. I really would like to hear about it, hear what you've done, hear what you think might help me out. And as always, I appreciate you watching and spending your time with me, and I'll see you on the next video.